Super Troopers 2 review by Scott Davis. Super Troopers 2 review. Over the last few years, we have had an abundance of comedy sequels that have been yearned for by fans for many a year, but in a strange case of keep 'em waiting, many of those hit movies took their sweet time making back on the big screen. Everything from rights issues, financial backing, of the stars of said film not keen on reprising their role have been to blame for a long waiting game. Following Anchorman, Zoolander and Dumb Dumber, to name a few, cult hit Super Troopers have finally saddled up for a second go-round some 17 years after the original. Broken Lizard, the comedy troupe behind the first film as well as Club Dread and Beer Fest, had always wanted to make a follow-up, but it seems financing was holding them back somewhat. Their solution? Crowdfunding through Indiegogo, a route similarly taken by Veronica Mars and Zach Braff's Wish I Was Here, and with similar results, with fans coming together to raise over $4.6 million for the film's production. And so, almost 2 decades later, the Troopers are back, and while the new edition sails through familiar waters, it's another case of it wasn't worth the wait. It starts out at breakneck speed with a hilarious open salvo involving a high-speed car chase and a cool cameo from 90s teen icon, but from then on it becomes a bit of a strain, with more of the same old jokes and routines that, while still chucklesome, have slightly worn out their welcome. Sure, there's a few brilliant sight gags involving bears and drugs, as well as a few jabs at America's current fascination with border control and their relationships with their northern neighbors, but they're sadly sporadic in the extreme and proceedings get strained quite quickly. Super Troopers 2 review, directed once again by Lizard's own Chandrasekar. You can see why Marvel are reportedly coveting the filmmaker for something in their future phases, as he shows quite the repertoire in terms of action set pieces, making them exciting throughout, but despite some flashes of brilliance, he too is let down with the tired comedy that encompasses it. Still, Rob Lowe sporting quite the coiffed hairdo, and Brian Cox are seemingly having a ball in amongst the mayhem, and their presence raises things a little, but it's a case of too little, too late. Just like some of the aforementioned comedy sequels at the top of the review, Super Troopers 2 is a well-intentioned but lazy retread of its former glories. It has its moments and there are laughs to be had for sure, but as a whole it just doesn't quite come together. Super Troopers 2 review by Scott Davis, June 2018. Super Troopers 2 is released in UK cinemas on Friday the 15th of June 2018.